Hey y'all, this week we're going to be finishing up our last few chapters of All Quiet on the Western Front. We're looking now towards the end of the war. We're going to see Paul become injured and have to go into the hospital. We'll notice, spoiler alert, sorry, all of the rest of the comrades, the friends from school, are either going to pass away, basically lose their mind and run away. And so it's sort of bringing our novel towards the end. As we've been looking at for a while, we've been looking at this idea of the futility of war as we're seeing it throughout the novel, that Paul and his friends are constantly questioning why they're even here in this battle and in this war. And that theme comes up again this time. Suddenly they're all given new equipment, shoes and tunics, and they're all excited about it. And they think it's because they're going to be on the march and engage in another battle, possibly against Russia. But it turns out the Kaiser's actually coming to inspect the troops. And so they're all excited to finally get to see the Kaiser. And for us, this is very odd to think that they're excited to see them because, we can turn on the news and we see President Biden on the news whenever we turn it on. So we see our leaders continually. But at this point in time, the only pictures they've ever seen of the Kaiser is on posters. These guys have never seen what he actually looks like in person. So they're very excited to see him. And they've made out into their heads that he is this grandiose individual that's larger than life. And when he walks by and inspects the troops, Paul and his comrades are talking about honestly how disappointed they were, that he wasn't at all what they expected. And they actually say, you know what? He has to use the latrine just like I do. There's nothing special about him. And that this is the man that's running the war, and there really isn't a greatness about him. And so they're very disappointed, and adds to the why are we even fighting. And they bring up the point that the only reason they have wars is so that these emperors can have their names remembered. And that's why the Kaiser has them fighting, because one man insulted somebody else and he needs a war to have his name remembered and seal his honor. So, that whole idea of the futility of war. And they keep on with that war is just a matter of chance. For example, when Paul kills the French soldier in the hole that the shell hit and exploded the ground around, he's trying to rationalize this with the dead man and says, look, if I had not been gripped by fear and had moved sooner, or you had jumped into another hole, moved 2 feet to your right, this wouldn't have happened. There's no reason for all this. This is all just chance. And they have this, when Paul's taken to the Catholic hospital, men are just being wheeled in with wounds, and the death is beyond what the nuns there can handle. At first, it's not as bad, but death continually increases, and they need soldiers on the front line. And so Paul, who at the beginning of the war would have been sent home with this injury, now is being classified as an A1 and being sent back to the front lines again. And so it doesn't matter what happens. You're constantly being put back in this fight, and it's futile to try to argue against it and prevent the inevitable from happening. And so Paul basically, when he is there, then at the end after coming back, he's sort of like, this is it. I'm gonna die here. This is what the end's gonna be like. It's not a matter of if at this point, it's a when. And even if I am working my hardest and I think I've made it to the end, as he did when he's carrying Cat on his back after Cat was injured, and he was sure he had got him in time to the infirmary because he had just been talking to him 10 minutes sooner, and the guys in the infirmary are like, it's too late, he's dead. And Paul doesn't understand how this can be so. And when he looks, a piece of shrapnel had hit him in the head and killed him while he was carrying him, just minutes from where help was supposed to be located. And so again, it's just continually is going to emphasize this futility of war. And the other piece, this is the piece I really want you to focus on this week, because this is a little bit different than what we've seen. Paul's going to spend some time talking to us about the Russian prisoners that he's guarding and watching. And he talks about on page 192, he says how little we understand one another. And he talks about the fact that, he looks at these Russian men and looks at their beards and their faces and wonders what they were before they came here, what jobs they did, what things they knew. He finally tells himself, you know what? I don't want to know, because if I know, it means I'm going to have sympathy for them, because it means there's going to be something that connects us. And that has been the problem all along with World War I. Killing is very impersonal. There's not a whole lot of hand-to-hand combat. As Paul addresses when he kills that French soldier, he says specifically, it's the first time I've ever killed anybody with my hands. Well, we know for certain he has been firing a weapon for all these years. Most certainly he has shot and killed somebody by this point. But it's not personal, because he has never seen that person, never sat there with him and looked them in the eye. And that's what happens when he kills this French soldier. He is just takes that very personally, because as he's laying there and rationalizing his decision to attack him when he was in the hole, when he jumps in the hole, he sits there and he looks through his photographs and realizes this man was a printer. He had a wife, he had a child, he had a name. And this idea that these two in another time and another place might have been friends, they might have been allies, but because a commander has said, you're going to hate this person, you're going to fight against this person, he had to kill him. And he says, if we understood one another better, the whole concept is if we really knew somebody else, we wouldn't be inclined to follow the orders of our leaders, or those leaders, if they knew other people like this, they wouldn't be inclined to send us out to kill them. And so I really want you to take a look at that this week. So good luck finishing out the book. Make sure that when you think you are done, and let me check mine to make sure I'm giving you the right page here. It looks like you're done on page 295. You finish about halfway through the page and you're like, okay, I'm done. How does it really end? Do me a favor, turn the page. The bottom of the next page, it's not even numbered. It concludes the book in 2 small paragraphs. So please make sure you read that to really find out how the book ends. So you'll be reading these chapters, these final chapters. You'll be answering those discussion questions. We'll be talking about it in class on Friday. You're going to be taking the short quiz on the book, similar to what we've been doing, that multiple choice with some exact answers based on summary of the book, and some is going to be based on interpretation. You're also going to be submitting your thesis statement for your literary analysis by Tuesday morning. I think it's by 9 a.m. You'll have to double check that on the times. And then after I comment, I'll have that back to you by that afternoon. And then you're going to be finishing out that rough draft for this paper, which is going to be due on Sunday. So I've already uploaded directions for the literary analysis, how to even go about writing one. And then I have gone over the rubric with you on another video as well. And I've also uploaded a concluding video to World War I. So some of that information might be helpful when you're writing the literary analysis, when you're inserting that historical perspective that we're taking with this book. So anyhow, if you have questions at all during the week, please don't hesitate to either shoot me an email or text me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I look forward to reading your thesis statement on Tuesday and seeing what you turn in for your rough drafts. I know those are going to be awesome, and I can't wait to talk about this book with you. There are just some awesome things bringing it to conclusion. So remember, keep an eye out on how little we understand each other and how things would change if we took the time to really get to know somebody. Have a great week.